How come if you crouch and run into an electric wire, you don't actually get electrocuted? It's not even like you're crouching under it because you're clearly phasing right through the electricity. Or why is this planet already covered in trash and litter when it was born like 2 seconds ago? That has to be the fastest pollution rate I've ever heard of. Like, where did it come from? Welcome back to the series where we apply real-life logic into video games. Now, it's time to look at some of the weird occurrences that appear in Mario's first space adventure. So here are 30 things that don't make sense in Mario Galaxy. How come some planets have a gravitational pull while others don't? And it's not even like the size of the planet has anything to do with it, because these tiny planets have gravity while this massive one doesn't. Especially when you have these two planets right next to each other, but you get pulled towards the smaller one for some reason. And also, given that some of these planets don't have their own gravity, why then do you still fall downwards when you fall off of them? I thought you're in space, so you should be floating. Like, what is pulling you down in this case? Because if it was the planet that you were on, then you should be pulled towards that planet. When you're using the ice flower, you just freeze the water to make ice, right? So then how do you also make ice when walking on lava? If you were to freeze lava, then it would just turn back into a volcanic rock. Lava doesn't create ice at all. How does Peach send you letters with 1-ups in them as you progress in the story? Isn't she a prisoner captured by Bowser? Like, what kind of prisoner can just send letters with useful items in them that will help the person who's trying to save the prisoner? How come the entrances to the galaxies have weird inconsistencies between the outside and inside of these buildings? Like the kitchen, for example, has this nice window to view the stars, but on the outside it's just bricks all around the structure. Or what about the fountain that has these lower holes here with water flowing outward and these upper holes with water flowing in, but on the outside, there's only the upper ones with water flowing in the opposite direction? How come the islands in this game just float on the water's surface? I mean, islands are just land masses surrounded by water. They all connect to the earth underneath them. But the ones here are somehow buoyant and just float. This is made of sand here. How is this sand not breaking apart and sinking? Why does this robot have a limited time for you to clear her planet? You're doing her a favor for free, but you have to do it quick for some reason. Worse than that though is if you fail, then the trash somehow comes back. Like, she puts it back there if you don't clean it up fast enough. What is wrong with this lady robot person thing? Why do Goombas just not hurt you if you stand at the edge of a platform? Seriously, it's like they're scared of the edge or something, like they have vertigo and don't want to get too close. They couldn't care less about killing Mario suddenly. Where do all the star bits come from that you shoot? I know you, the player, are actually shooting it, but in the universe, is there like a giant Wii remote that's hiding behind the camera that also follows Mario? And how do you shoot these star bits through walls, like in this tiny building, for example? In the mission where you first save Luigi in the mansion, how do you actually leave the mansion? Because the only way you can access that place is by using the Boo power-up, which allows you to go through these grates. But you have to get rid of that power-up to talk to Luigi, and there's no other Boo power-ups in this area. Meaning, now both of you are stuck in this cage here. But another thing, so if the stars are actually able to teleport you back to the observatory, then why is Luigi stuck all the time in the first place? He always just finds power stars, but then needs you to rescue him. Why don't you just teleport back like us using the stars? How come Peach doesn't try to do anything while her castle and herself are being captured? Clearly your castle's raising and there's a giant water moat to jump into. Or even in this scenario where the airship is barely above the ground, Mario is right there to catch her and she's not being tied back at all, yet Still nothing. It's almost like she suspiciously wants to be captured. What's with these bees in Honey Hive Galaxy? For being worker bees, they're not doing much work at all. They're just flying back and forth with a bucket of honey. Honey is heavy, you say? Well, yeah, maybe try and stop lugging a bucket of honey around in circles and do some useful work instead. Toy Time Galaxy is just such a weird place. Like, why is there just random giant kids' toys scattered around this area as the planets? And how come this place is enclosed inside this huge kids' playroom? Is the god of this galaxy just some giant toddler who's bad at cleaning up? Or is that how this galaxy was created in the first place? What's with the water in the Stingray galaxies? Like, why does it stay in this perfect stream here? There's no outside barriers since you can just fall off the water, so what is keeping it contained in this specific racetrack-like shape? What is with this pipe in Dreadnought Galaxy? As you can see, this planet is a total separate object, yet the pipe leads to a completely different part of the galaxy. And I don't see any pipe extensions coming out of this planet either. This pipe's like a teleporter. What's with the floors of Buoy Base Galaxy? If you try to swim into them, you'll see they're a solid object that you can't go through, but if you then go to the flip side of Buoy Base, then you just fall right through the floors. And if you try going back right after, the floors then become solid objects again. Now, I've heard of one-way mirrors, but I've never seen one-way floors like this. Just what are these bubbles made of in Mario Galaxy? They're like almost unpoppable. You can just ram yourself full speed into most solid surfaces without a problem. Or even spinning blades of a fan cause no popping at all. The only thing that can finally stop these beasts is bombs of all things just to pop a bubble. Like, damn. How come there are floating objects just all over the game in every galaxy? And before you say, obviously it's because they're in space, so there's no gravity, duh. Well then, why is every other object, like the enemies or Mario, being pulled down by gravity? Some objects even seem lighter than Mario too, like these tiny particles that float around in every galaxy. But they don't get affected by gravity, while Mario does. How does Mario just turn into this tornado thing? First of all, I swear that would break all of your bones just twisting around like that. And also, if you pause this clip, you'll see that Mario somehow has grown 4 arms. Now that is cursed. This next one, I know I already mentioned in my Mario Odyssey video, but I have to repeat it again here because it is just too relevant not to include. And this is, how is Mario not able to breathe underwater, yet he can breathe in outer space? In fact, like every other character in this game can somehow breathe in space too. How does the gravity change depending on if you're grabbing onto these honeycombs? Like, for example, if you run out of flight normally, you just get pulled down. But if you run out of flight while climbing the honeycombs, then you fall towards the honeycombs. What's weirder than that though is if you're climbing, run out of flight, and then touch a normal wall, your gravity will switch and now you get pulled downward. What? Why is there all this giant food all over the game? Like, it's just sitting there floating. So does world hunger then not exist in these galaxies? Or is this some sort of giant's food that he left? There's giant bouncy chunks of meat even. And they don't even get moldy. They're good as new in fact, even with everyone walking all over them. What's with the abundance of black holes that appear all over this game? They are just everywhere in every galaxy. I don't even know how you get so close to them either. Like, at this range, surely you'll get pulled into it, but somehow the planets and Mario just don't get pulled into them unless you fall off the planet. How come when you make ice on a waterfall, the ice doesn't move with the current and just, no pun intended, freezes in place? The only thing the ice is attached to is the water in this scenario. It connects to nothing else, yet it doesn't move with the water current at all. How does this ice not melt in Freeze Flame Galaxy with this burning hot magma right next to it? You can still skate on it and everything. Like, geez, how frozen is this place? This skating rink should be a puddle by now. How come some power-ups have time limits on them while others don't? It's so random as well, like this bee thing you can use forever, but the fire flower that Mario has always used for an unlimited amount of time now just randomly goes away after a while. How does Mario turn his shoes into, well, skates in an instant? Seriously, he can just somehow stop slipping and even dig into the ice. Plus, look at him, he can do twirls like he's a natural figure skater. Hey you! I want to tell you that the channel is getting very close to 50,000 subscribers, and it would mean the world to me if you were to subscribe and help me reach that number. And as always, let me know some more things that don't make sense to you in the comments as well. See ya!